Welcome to Founders Club, the show for real estate entrepreneurs.
You're from Vietnam. How did you come over? When did you come over?
Yep.
And then how did you transition to real estate?
Yeah, so people about our age or older might remember the Vietnam War, right? And if you're younger, you might have learned about it from history. So in 1975, the American left Vietnam, and the north side, we live in the south, we were American friendly. So the communists came in, took over the southern Vietnam. So in most communist countries, including Vietnam, they have this thing called re-education camp. So anyone who can think for themselves is a threat. Okay, so musician, poet, attorneys, professors. So my dad was a professor. So by the way, my mom and dad both went to school in Florida State University. They came back with degrees. My dad was a PhD, my mom had a master. So anyways, because my dad was a professor, he was invited to the re-education camp.
Invited.
So I have two younger brothers. I was 8 and my younger brothers were 4 and 2. So they came and arrested my dad, and we didn't reunite until I was 32 years old. So from the 8 to 32 before I saw my dad again. So anyway, from the age of 8 to 13 is when I actually finally left Vietnam. So when the communists came in, the way that they control the people is through economy, right? So they rationed everything. So even if you have money, you couldn't buy anything. So my mom was working 2-3 jobs. She was actually a teacher, so she taught at university and school. I was the oldest, and and back then my dad was the oldest too. So we lived with our grandparents because he took care of his parents. So every day after school, I remember I would go line up for 2-3 hours every day to get our ration. So every Monday I get a ration of rice for the entire family. Every Tuesday might have been spices. Every Wednesday might have been some protein. Thursday, detergent.
Wow.
We did that for years, right? So man, I remember, when we did have protein, it was like a little piece of, meat that was heavily salted, so you can eat 3 bowls of rice with it, It was pretty tough. So anyways, back then a lot of people left Vietnam, and we're a coastal country. So many people left by foot through the jungle to Thailand, which is north of us. But 80% of it by boat. So 2 million people left Vietnam during that time. And I was one of those boat people. So we actually tried 3 times. The first time it was my mom and my 2 younger brothers and us, so all 4 of us. And this is like putting all your eggs in one basket because the survival rate was less than 50%. Wow. I'm a coin flip. Okay, I'm here today because I landed on the right side. Okay, so anyways, the first try, we were all there. My dad was in prison, obviously, so he would never say yes to it. My mom made an executive decision, say, let's give it a better life. So we waited to be picked up to get on the boat to try to leave. And she chickened out, right? Hey, man, we could all die. So she's like, hey, I'm not feeling this thing. So she used my younger brother, Hugh, as an excuse. He's not feeling well, we're not doing this. So we found out later that group made it, right? We could have all made it. No, maybe we weren't meant to be.
Yeah.
The second time, because it cost money, so she pretty much spent all the money on her family, and we didn't do it. The second time, her brother was a mechanic, my uncle. So she, as an entrepreneur herself, worked a deal out where he can be the mechanic for the ship, the boat, and I get a free spot. So during that time, I was about 12. We were, this is the early 80s, and the Vietnamese people at war with the Chinese. So if you get caught and you're 16 or older as a male, you're pretty much sent to the front line until you're shot to death, right? That's a death sentence. So we already know that if we get caught, my uncle's gonna bail, okay? And I'm only 12, so figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's pretty corrupt in most third world countries. So the process for the boat people to leave is pretty crazy. So you buy a spot on the boat, it's a human smuggling. And there's river fishing boats that they build secret compartment underneath. So there's this river through a lot of Asia country called the Mekong River. So you fish down the river until you get out to international water, okay? That's the escape plan. So you go through all these checkpoints, and then you would bribe the Coast Guard to let you go by because they can tell the boat's sinking a little bit more, right? There's a bunch of other people underneath.
Right.
So I was one of those underneath, and we paid the money, and they took the money, they turned us in. So we got caught the second try. So my uncle bailed. He told me later he just jumped on and he got away. So I got caught. And I remember there was about 80 of us in this group. And I remember this is the summer, and it's very hot and humid in the summer in Vietnam. And go to like Florida, Oklahoma, Tennessee down there, and multiply by 2 in the summer, the humidity, the heat. So I remember they made us sit outside, no food, no water for 2 days, and they just teased us, and I was only 12 at the time, so pretty scary. Hey, don't worry, the Americans on their way to pick you guys up. I mean, they literally just, they tormented us. But I eventually did get to go home, because I was only 12. So the third try was the time I made it. Third time was the charm, I guess. I knew I was leaving at some point, but they don't tell me because I was 13 by now. So they know I'll tell my friends, right, my cousins, so someone's going to find out about it. So my mom been working on this deal I didn't know about. So I do remember it was like a school night, and my 2 brothers got to go to my cousin for a sleepover. And I should have thought that was a red flag, right? Because you don't get to go hang out and have fun on school nights in Vietnam, okay? And then my grandma made me my favorite meal, which is barbecue pork. And I remember, like, hey, eat as much as you can. I'm not fighting my brothers for it. I'm getting plenty of food, I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Yeah,
I wasn't thinking.
I like this.
Right?
Yeah.
And then at nighttime, my mom and my grandma came into bed with me, and they talked to me about, they say they love me and all this stuff. And in the Asian culture, we don't show a lot of affection like that. Mm-hmm. So I should have thought of something. Just $13, I didn't think of anything, right? And then I remember about 3 o'clock, my mom woke me up and said, hey, it's time to go. And, that was go time. I knew then, okay, it's time to go. So, she took me by bicycle, I remember, out of the city, because we live in Saigon. So all the Vietnam movies you see is like rice paddy. I never even seen one, because I live in the city. So she took me by bicycle out about an hour, I remember, and we met a strange man I've never met before. So that was our contact. So my mom, before I left, my grandma said, I love you, be brave. So my mom said, hey, okay, be brave, we love you, you can do this. Well, remember at the time I was 13.
Yeah.
I've tried it twice. I'm thinking, okay, Mom, I'll see you in a couple of days,
yeah.
right? It's not hitting me yet. So this other guy has a moped, so we ride out about an hour outside the city again. We now met up with a smaller group. So I was the last one to show up, and there were already 8 people there. I was number 9. So at this checkpoint we met up, we now have to go to where the dinghy is. So that's when I experienced the rice paddy. We were walking through the rice paddy, got the dinghy, 10, 15 minutes. It felt like a long time for me. And, for an Asian guy, I'm pretty tall
and
now.
you're by yourself with no family at 13 years old.
Correct. Okay, my mom bought me a spot. However she did, I think she might have gotten a few people on the boat. She earned a commission or something that she traded in. So I remember, I was really small back then. I remember the mud was up to my chest. I'm thinking, man, I step off, I'll be, I would be, suffocating. So anyways, we made it through a dinghy. They took us to the big boat, which is not even that big. Okay, you probably can't see this patio right here, but it's about 2.5 size of a normal bedroom. So we're the last group to come down to the boat, coming down, and I see just packed with people. But I remember the last time too. This time the boat was a little bigger. So we got down there, and I didn't know about the time of it until later when someone told me. But we were down there fishing down the Mekong River, and it felt like a much longer, but it was only 3 days. So now imagine you go to a concert, camping outdoor, you go to one of those satellites, you go to the bathroom, and it has been clean in a long time, no air circulation, being in the dark, and I found out later it was 3 days. It felt much longer. People thrown up, going to the bathroom, just
right there.
And you sitting literally shoulder to shoulder like sardines, okay? So every time we go through a checkpoint, we will hear one of these knock, knock, boom, boom on the top. So we know that everyone be really quiet,
yeah.
including the family with little kids. They've been reminded that, if someone make a noise, you muzzle them. Whatever you got to do, man, we're not getting caught.
Right.
Especially, there were a lot of men on this boat, and that's death sentence for them, okay? So this time, we got lucky enough that we got through all the checkpoints. Okay?
Right.
So felt like an eternity for me, but I guess it was only 3 days.
Only, I mean,
That's
come
right.
on. Yeah.
We got out to international water. This is the photos I've gotten.
Okay.
Last time we never got on the boat.
Right.
Second time we got caught. So we got out international water, and this is where you see in books and movies, like hundreds of people on the boat. Now we all come on top.
Everyone can come out now.
Yeah. So I remember I was pretty polite. I was taught to be at the time. I was helping everybody come on the top. I was one of the last few that come up. And I remember coming up, and I felt like I went from hell to heaven. That fresh air we take for granted? I was like, oh my God, man, this smells so good. I can actually breathe,
Wow.
And I'm excited, ready to jump up and down, a 13-year-old boy. And all of a sudden I look around and everyone looks actually scared. All of a sudden it hit me. This is the stories we've been hearing. This is the point of no return. If you get caught, at least you get to go home. You're out here, you're either gonna die or you make it. So here's the escape plan for the boat people back then. If you get out this far, you float until someone picks you up. And the big ocean. So what happened back then is the Red Cross had created refugee camps all over the nearby countries. Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia.
To accept the people
That's
coming
correct.
in.
So refugee camps, right? This is the 80s when the economy was also bad back then. Now, our money is worth not even the paper is printed on. So when people leave, they convert them to jewelries. They would take like gold chain, watch, whatever, to take it with them, right? So a lot of surrounding countrymen, also pretty bad for them with the economy, but they also know this. So they turn pirates. Okay, so a river fishing boat.
Great.
In the river. You get out the ocean, you don't have the speed, you can't maneuver, you're small, you're pretty much defenseless. So this ocean fishing boat would come find us, take all the jewelry, rape the women, and sink the boat. And that was mercy killing, because they take all your gas, your food, whatever, right? They're pirates.
Wow.
So that was like, so you don't die slowly. So lucky for us, we never ran across a pirate boat. But at 13, I did get to see floating bodies. So it must have been a nearby boat that was sunken at some point. It was pretty scary for a 13-year-old,
Totally.
right? I was by myself. I don't know anybody in the boat. We had about a day left of food, water, and gas. And we got lucky. Our plan worked. We ran across a commercial ship. So your goal is to run to a good guy ship and not a bad guy. We ran across a good guy. So they're just passing by, and they probably know during that time. So they hooked us up. And this is where, just picture like this big cruise ship. Okay?
Like
San
an
Diego,
oil
I know you have a
tanker or
port,
something.
right?
Yeah,
One
yeah.
of those big ones.
Right.
And with this little tiny river fishing boat. Okay, so we dock up. I remember everyone get all excited because we know that this means it's good,
This
right?
is looking good, yeah.
So I remember at 13, I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what's next. I'm thinking, oh man, we got to get on the ship, we get food, take a shower, all this stuff, right? This is now, by the way, we've been floating for about 7 days. So we're on day 10 now. So they didn't let us up on the boat because probably, you might have disease or something,
Right, they don't know what you guys are
that's
either,
right.
right, yeah.
So they throw down some food, water, and then they call into the nearest refugee camp. So for us, it was Malaysia. So I remember they put food down, and I was really little then. So probably looked bigger than it normally is. It's just probably a normal apple. But I remember this big, juicy red apple I got to eat, right? I'm like, oh my God, I can get to America, get all this awesome food. And I've been hungry, because we literally have enough rice and water just to survive, right? We're not eating a normal ration either. So we waited, and about a day before they come out, they pull us in to the refugee camp. So now we're the 11th day. So the process is they onboard you. So you check in, they give you a shot, and then that's when you declare what country you want to go to. So for me, we already planned this. If I made it this far, America. My aunt and uncle, who live in Minnesota, that's how I ended up there.
Got it.
So I declare, okay, and I actually ended up staying there for 8 months because I'm an orphan. Most people are there 4 to 6 years. Because number one, they're not an orphan. Number two, they may not have family that sponsor them, so you have to wait for a nonprofit or church to sponsor them, right?
Wow.
So it took longer. So anyways, this is the part I tell a lot that I believe that mindset is extremely important. And I didn't realize I discovered that mindset is everything at that point. I didn't know then, but later on I knew. So I remember first of all, I get to send a telegram now to my mom. You have kids, I have kids. I send my kids to sleep over
That
next
was
door,
probably
right?
the happiest day of her life.
I'm calling, texting them, make sure they're okay.
Right.
Imagine you don't know where your kid is for 11 days, and
Yeah.
you know it's a flip of a coin.
Right.
He might already die. It's been 11 days. He didn't make it, right? So she told me later, obviously, she was very happy. She got that. So I remember I got to do that. And I remember that night, after all of this excitement or whatever, I found a spot on the beach. Now, by the way, it's in Wikipedia page that the refugee camp I was at, the name of it is Bidong. B as in boy, I, D as in David, O, N as in Nancy, G, okay, Bidong. It's nicknamed Hell Island. It was considered to be, at the time, the most heavily populated place on earth.
Wow.
I was one of 40,000 people on the size of a football field. Imagine sleeping on dirt floor. Okay, have plastic bag pretty much over you. And I was there for
So
8
heavy.
months. And there's people there 4 to 6 to 7 years. Okay. So anyway, that was camp life later. But anyways, the first night, I remember finding a spot on the beach. It's very crowded, but everyone kind of go to bed now. And I found a spot on the beach that was kind of secluded. And I remember it finally hit me. Okay, I told this part of it thousands of times. I remember just crying. I remember crying all night. Because besides getting hurt as a kid, I've never like emotionally cried.
Yeah, no, that's so
I remember
heavy.
it finally hit me. And I'm thinking, crap, am I lucky or am I unlucky? Okay, am I lucky that I made it or am I unlucky that everyone I knew, my friends, my family's on the other side of
They're
the
all
ocean,
back there, yeah.
and I'm probably never going to see them again. Okay, and I know that my job is to figure out for myself at 13 years old and go help the rest of my family. That's a lot of pressure on a
Totally.
13-year-old boy, right? So I remember crying, just crying all night, just thinking in my head that internal, struggle that am I lucky or am I unlucky? And I remember the sun was just coming up. And I had to make a decision. Okay, I want people to come and see who this kid, right? So I remember saying to myself, put your big boy pants on and go figure it out.
Wow.
So at that point, Oliver, I remember making a choice that I'm a victor and not a victim. I decided I was
Powerful.
lucky instead of unlucky. Right? I could have done the unlucky victim thing the rest of my life. I was 13, I was a boy, I had nothing.
Right.
What am I supposed to do, right? I'm like, nope, I am lucky to be in this position, go take advantage of it and help everybody. Because of that, the way I am now, you know me, I love to meet people, love to share, so I'm very passionate about helping people and paying it forward because I'm a 50-50 coin flip. I should not even be alive today. Because of that, any chance I get, I want to help people because I never want anyone to have the same feeling I had that night. Helpless. I don't even know what I'm going to do for myself, let alone taking care of my family.
Yeah.
Right? So anytime I have the chance to help people, I do.
To listen to this full Founders Club interview, go to foundersclub.tv.